my message is a simple message. I'm a simple person who had a chance to do something wonderful, something amazing. My dream as a little boy, como bambino, 3 years old, I wanted to be in the space. At that time, I watched people walk on the moon. And I said, wow, this is something wonderful. So I followed my dream. I worked very hard at school. I went to a polytechnical very similar to very similar to here. I flew twice, as was mentioned, aboard the International Space Station. So it's not the American space station, it's not the Russian space station, it's an international space station. And this International Space Station is a good example. It's something, shows what the human beings across the planet, what we can do when we work together. When we work together constructively, we make something together. And I'm very amazed, very happy to be here. This is a northern part of Italy. This is a center on the whole planet of technology and things that are made for airplanes and for space. For example, the several modules of the International Space Station were made in Italia, right not too far away from here. And of course, this is a place where there is high technology and good quality. And so it's we're at a place that's not very far away from the final frontier. In my country, we went to the moon when I was very young. We have not been back. But since then, we have learned how to be not a tourist. I mean, our first trips to the moon, we were a tourist. So like myself, this is my first time in Italy. I flew over Italy many times. I looked down, wow, what a beautiful place. It's so beautiful. There's so many things you can see from space. And I have a video. We will talk about the scientific and technical potential of space station. But there's also the human part. And I know many people in Italy know what the heart is and how to work from the heart with passione, passion, right? And so we have the passion too when you are in the space. You can see our whole planet below. But we have learned not to just visit space like a tourist. We have learned to live in space. We have made the new technology so that we can live in space for a long time. We have, since the year 2000, so for 9 years continuously, we've had human beings in space. This is all kind of record. The people have been continuously in space, human beings, not just Americans, not just Russians. So let me tell you a little bit about the International Space Station, because they told me I have to talk some technical things, but you can tell I talk from my heart. The technical things, the International Space Station, built by 15 different countries, including Italia. It has huge solar arrays. It runs perfectly on solar energy. We are in orbit above our planet Earth, about 350 kilometers. And we are traveling very fast, even faster than this road from Malapisa Airport. That was maybe, 60 kilometers, 70 kilometers per hour. But we are traveling in a space at 28,500 kilometers per hour. It's very fast. So we go around our planet once every 90 minutes. And each day, each 24-hour period, we see 16 sunrises and 16 sunsets. From space, you can see so much about our planet Earth. We're not so far away. We can see the rivers. We can see il lago di Como. We could see all these places, no problem. One thing we cannot see, that is many people talk about, is this Great Wall in China. It's very big. I have been there. It is a great wall, but it does not have a contrast. It's like a camouflage. You cannot see it from a space because it's made with the local materials. It's the things that have the big contrast that are easy to see. An airport is easy to see. Even the pyramids of Egypt, I have some video on my video to show you that you can see these things from space. And you can see that we have a very special planet. So what we have learned on the space station is important to life here on planet Earth. We have, for example, technology in the space now to recycle water, because water in space, water to human beings, is like gold. Each kilogram that we send to space costs something like 2,000 or 3,000 euros. That's very expensive to send 1 liter of water into space. So we have to be very careful with our water, just like here on planet Earth. As we get more and more people on the planet, then we need to, we will have the same amount of water, so water will become very precious. So we need to know how to recycle our water. Well, we have the technology we've learned in space. So the space station, purely solar powered, we recycle our water, and these technologies help not just on the space station, helps here on planet Earth, and someday it will help us when we go to the moon and Mars. And so I got to be a part of it, and my duty is to share this adventure, to share some of the things that we have seen and worked on in space. So I will show the video in just 1 minute, but as we mentioned, we have 2 main ways to go into space right now. The American space shuttle, and then also the Russian Soyuz. Myself, even though I'm American, I flew twice on Russian Soyuz, like Roberto Vittori. He flew also on the Soyuz 2 times, but not on the space shuttle. Nespoli, he flew once on space shuttle, and so the space shuttle is the other way to go. However, space shuttle, we are going to, as America, we are going to stop flying the space shuttle. We will save all that money and put it into a new rocket. This new rocket will take us to the moon, will take us far away, not just 300 kilometers, 400 kilometers into space. It will take us 10 times, 100 times farther away. So we're looking forward to that. But that means for a long time, while we were making our new rocket, because as engineers and scientists, you know that nothing happens quickly. To do a job correctly, it takes the time. And so this time, Americans will not be flying in space. So everybody will be flying on the Russian Soyuz. And everybody says, well, you should be nervous. It's like, no, we are partners. We're working together. Our partners are helping us along. We are helping them along. And that is the message of International Space Station, that we can do something very wonderful, amazing, working together. Working together is not easy. I don't know if any of you have ever been married, but it's like being married. And you love each other, you like each other, but sometimes there's a small conflict, but you have to work it out. And so with U.S. and Russia, with our partners from European Space Agency, from Japan and Canada, we're working these things out. And sometimes it's not easy, but the results are amazing. And I will share some of these results with you. There we go. Brought to you by the American Space Agency, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. And you could see this animation of the International Space Station. You can see our planet Earth below. And as you can see, we're transforming and looking towards the moon as our future. And it metamorphs into our patch of Expedition 18, the 18th expedition to the International Space Station. This is my crew. We have a Russian, Yuri Lonchakov, a Japanese named by Wakata, and we have 2 other Americans. At any one time, there were only 3 of us together, but the other, me and Yuri came on the Soyuz. The other guys came on on American Space Shuttle. 3.5 years of training, 3 years and 6 months to be trained for space station. This is the kind of thing we train. We practice to go on spacewalks inside of the world's largest swimming pool. We have an entire mock-up of space station underwater. You can see my colleague is Sandy Magnus right here. If you haven't noticed, she's a girl. We have girl astronauts, we have boy astronauts. It doesn't matter. The difference is being able to do our job. So we are practicing. There's Yuri Lonchakov. He's a colonel in the Russian Air Force, and this was his first time to fly into space for a long time. 6 months is a long time. So we practice and train in United States, in Europe, in Cologne, Germany. We train here in Star City, Russia. We also had training in Japan and training in Canada. So we spend a lot of time away from our families, away from home. But here we are. This is Soyuz training, getting ready. And Yuri is the comandante of the Soyuz. He sits in the middle seat. I am the flight engineer, the co-pilot, inside the Soyuz on the left seat. And this is training in Star City. You can see we have to wear our spacesuits a lot. All of our documentation is in Russian language, computers, keys, every button that you push, all in Russian language. No problem. So we train together, and we practice for a final exam, and here we are on the day of launch, 3 of us getting ready to launch. And it's really amazing to imagine, because when I was a little boy, that nobody would imagine that there would be Americans on a Russian rocket. This is the same launch pad that Yuri Gagarin launched from, first man in space, and now we are all launching together. So we have the liftoff of the Soyuz rocket, and in only 8.5 minutes, we are in space. It is that fast. We go from 0 kilometers per hour, and 8.5 minutes later, we are at 28,500 kilometers per hour. There we are inside of our rocket. I'm on the top of the screen. There's Yuri, and we are going very fast. We spent a few days checking out our spaceship, and then we dock to the International Space Station, the largest space structure ever made by human beings. The crew on board was expedition number 17. They were happy to see us. The man on the lower left corner with the beard, he is actually a tourist. He spent his own money for 10 days to fly into space, and he had a nice time. So he went back with Oleg and Sergei. He went back home, and the person on board already was Dr. Greg Shemitov. He was an engineer also, and we work together for the next several months. So it was myself, Yuri, and Greg working on the space station. This was a complex experiment we were doing for the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Those are internal satellites. They can fly around, and Greg was working on new algorithms for guidance and control. We got ready for the space shuttle mission. The space shuttle mission was very important to us because they brought up a lot of equipment so that we could have 6 people aboard space station. We were the last 3-person crew. So we were moving these Canadian and Japanese robotic arms to get ready. In the United States, the politics were happening. We were voting for a new president, and we were able to vote from space for the new president, and we were telling everyone to vote. All right, this was 1 year ago. This was the space shuttle number STS-126, and they were going to bring up a whole bunch of new things for us for the space station. There's Sandy Magnus again. She's getting on her American launch and entry suit, and this is what it's like for a space shuttle mission. They had a full moon. It was very nice and dark, and for a night launch. And it's not a coincidence, but it also takes space shuttle about 8.5 minutes to get into space. The engines are a lot bigger, different kind of fuels, but still the mission is still the same, to get into orbit. And this time, we had a very interesting phenomenon. As the rocket went through Mach 1, the speed of sound, it made shock waves through the atmosphere. And you can actually see these shock waves. It looks like a stone thrown into a lake. You will see it in just right here. Here comes the shock wave. So you could see as it made it through the speed of sound. We took this video from the space station. The space shuttle did a flip. This flip was so that we could look underneath and check the thermal protection system of space shuttle. And behind, from the space shuttle view, you could see our International Space Station. It's very, very big. And so we are docking now. This part here is the node number 2, which we call Harmony. It was built in Italia, by the way. You can see Ozzy right there. And from Ozzy, this is inside of the node 2. This is all of our crew, so the space station crew and space shuttle crew. So we got to work. We took out all kinds of equipment and put it inside the space station. This weighs on the order of 150 kilograms, And actually, I'm sorry, I converted wrong. This is 500 kilograms. And you can see just two of us are moving it around in space. That's myself. You can see I stood on the wall, no problem. I stood sideways, no problem. And there's Don. He's standing right side up, but you can see right here his feet. He has to use the handle on the floor for his feet to get stable. And so this is our water recycling rack. We talked about water recycling. Really, I did not tell you that we call it water, but it's really urina. You know what this is, but there's a lot of water in this urine, and this recycler, it uses a distillation process. That is the distillation assembly, and it takes all of the water out of the urina, and we use this water. We use it to make oxygen. Water is H2O. We can use electricity and take out the hydrogen and oxygen and breathe the oxygen. So after 10 days, the space shuttle left. Greg went back and left myself, Sandy, Magnus, and Yuri. And this is what the space shuttle saw as they left. This was goodbye to arrivederci to the space station. And that's what it looked like at this time. This Christmas time, Yuri and I, we got into our Russian spacesuits and took a spacewalk on the outside of space station. Our job was to put on some scientific experiments outside in the vacuum of space, especially a very important payload that was made by European Space Agency. So I am in the red suit on the left-hand side, and you can see the Yuri's hands right here. He has a blue striped suit. And here we are on the outside of space station, working. Outside is a pure vacuum of space, so our suits have to be very well constructed. I've had a chance to walk outside in space 6 times. It's very amazing. We also built some new equipment. This is an exercise machine. This is an advanced resistive exercise device. It made us feel like we were lifting weights. So sure, I'm on the wall lifting weights, but the main important thing is we exercise every day for 2 hours. It helps us so that we do not lose so much bone and so much muscles. We also have another device called a treadmill, and you can see Sandy has these harness to keep her from floating away. We also have a stationary bicycle like this one, and you can see she's being held in just with her feet on the pedals. They clip in like a bicycle, and in this case, she's doing a medical experiment at the same time. We enjoyed every evening eating in space. We had a chance at the end of the day to get together to enjoy a meal together. The food was Russian food, American food, some Japanese food. Sandy made a few small recipes, but it's very difficult to cook in space without proper equipment like oven or microwave or refrigerator or freezer, so we did the best we could. This was the holidays for New Year. We also took good care of space station, like anybody's house or things like that. We have to clean it. Each of us cleaned 1/3. Sandy is showing her technique of holding the vacuum cleaner with her foot. I'm showing the technique of getting a haircut, and the hair cutter is connected to a vacuum cleaner hose. That way the hair pieces will not float around, because that would get inside the equipment and people's eyes, so we try to keep everything nice and clean. This is where I slept. Sandy constructed some of these crew quarters that came up and built them together. So we each had our own small little room, and there's our sleeping bag. It's on the wall. That's a computer I use to read electronic books. In my spare time, I like to read the books. And so I read 40 books while I was in space. And also from that computer, I could call my family. So this was kind of my own room. Sandy's showing off some techniques of flying. I'm also showing formation flying. Greg and I decided to make an aquarium. This is just water. And in the water, we are putting these candy fish. They're not real fish. They're just candy. Sandy is practicing for the Olympics. And this is my favorite move. And flying in space was our second most favorite thing to do. Our first most favorite thing to do was to look out the window. And this video. This is a nice projector we have, but it's not showing everything our eyes could see. This is the Caribbean Ocean, between North and South America. You can see the islands have such a different, amazing color. You can see what it looks like when we're traveling 28,500 kilometers per hour, that the Earth just goes underneath us very quickly. This is what it's like looking out the side of the window. This is the desert. This is northern Africa. You can see the clouds. You can see the glint of the sun. You can see the darker shades and the lighter shades of the desert. The sunrise and sunset each day 16 times, but you can also see the atmosphere, how thin the atmosphere is over the planet. This is what cities look like at night. Again, the video is not high quality just because it's very difficult, but this is Lisbon, Portugal, and what it looks like at night. The cities in Europe and North America are so bright. These are the pyramids in Egypt, right in here. 1, 2, 3. That's the city of Cairo, and you could see these from the space. Of course, I had a lens on the camera, but I could still see. We could also see how nature changes. This is in the island of Madagascar. The trees were taken away from the hills, and now all of this soil is eroding into the river, and the river is changing to a bright red color. This is a very far away island in the South Pacific Ocean. It's very hard to see, but here's a glacier. We can measure how much this glacier melts over time, how it changes. And we can also see the effect of time over on things like this is a coral atoll. This is made out of coral. It's an island. Some people actually live here in the Pacific Ocean. We can see how it changes, what it looks like over time. This is a volcano in the North America called Mount St. Helens. It's near the city of Seattle, Washington. And in the 1980s, it blew off this part of the crater, and you can see that from space. We all have our hometown. So my football team was going to the championship, so I encouraged them from space. We had another space shuttle come to visit us. This is STS-119. This happened just last March, and the space shuttle launched, and their job was to bring up the next crew member on Expedition 18, Dr. Koichi Wakata from Japan, and they were 1 month late. So Sandy was worried that she would never go home. So she was very happy when they made it to the space. Their job also was to bring up a new solar array so that we would have full power to the space station. This was a very important mission because without full power, we could not have all of the science and all of the crew members we needed aboard space station. So they docked with the space station aboard the space shuttle, caught up to the space station. There's a docking through that tunnel, is what it looks like on the inside of that tunnel. This is commander of the space shuttle, Dr. Colonel Lee Archambault from the U.S. Air Force. I was at the other end. We said, well, hello, welcome aboard. And you can see Dr. Koichi Wakata, the first long-duration Japanese astronaut in space. This was he was up there for 4 months. So we welcomed him aboard. We extended this long solar array, one on this side, one on the other side, and that's what it looks like. It takes a little bit of time and opens up a new way of getting solar power, more energy for the space station. We had a new president. He was not president when I left, but he was president when I came back, which was Barack Obama. He called us. I answered. It's always good to answer when the president calls. And we talked. We were supposed to talk for 5 minutes, but we ended up talking for 20 minutes. He really enjoyed the conversation. Then this was Sandy's ride home, so she took her suitcase with her and went back on the space shuttle. And here's the crew of STS-119. They left Koichi with us. We said goodbye to them, and this is what the space station looks like today. All 4 solar arrays on both sides. This is what human beings have made working together. You can see the shadow of space shuttle as it goes in front of the sun, and this is what our space station looks like. We have built this, not the Americans, not the Russians, but people on the planet when we work together. So that was near the end of our mission, because a few days later, another Soyuz came on board. This is our replacement crew. 3 people were on board. This is what it looks like on the screens controlling for the docking of the Soyuz. And on board was the new commander. His name was Gennady Padalka. I flew with him on my first mission. He was my commander, so he taught me everything I know. And I was happy to see when he came on board. This guy is American, Dr. Mike Barrett. He's a doctor, a physician, and he came on board also. And the other guy that came on board was another tourist. He invented the Microsoft Excel. I don't know if you've seen this program. This is Dr. Charles Simoni. He was born in Hungary and now lives in U.S. But they spent some time with us, and then myself and Yuri and Charles went back home together, leaving Mike and Koichi and Gennady in charge of space station. We felt really proud at this moment because the space station was bigger and better and ready for the next people because of our work. So we said thank you and goodbye. This was just last April, just a few months ago. I said goodbye to the space station, my home for 1 year. We undocked from space station, screamed through the atmosphere, and decreased our speed from 28,000 kilometers per hour to 0. And there we are landing in the desert of Kazakhstan under a parachute. And some helicopters, they saw us, so they took this video. Then they landed and opened up the hatch, and we got out of the little module, the Soyuz, and here we are back on the ground after 6 months. I felt great, and was looking forward to coming back. So what they did after this was that they took us on a helicopter. From the helicopter, we went to the nearest airport. At the nearest airport, they got into an airplane and flew back to Moscow, Russia. At Moscow, Russia, my family was waiting for me. There's my daughter. And you can see already, we've only been on the planet for several hours, but we're walking okay. It's not too bad. And so I got to see my children and my wife again. My wife was very patient while I was gone. And we see my daughter. Her name is Tara Ali. She was born on my first mission. She came to Russia to see me. And my son, his name is Chandra, and he came to see me. And then my little baby, who forgot who I was. When I left, she was 6 months old, so I came back. And she said, "Who are you?" But now we're very good friends. So that is our story. That is life aboard the International Space Station Expedition 18.